Okay, it's 6 o'clock, and I'll welcome everyone to this public meeting. Call this meeting to order. Let's just do a roll call quick to make sure we can hear everyone. Councillor Foster.
Present.
Councillor Van Leeuwen. Councillor Van Leeuwen.
Present.
Councillor McElwain.
Present.
Councillor Kittredge.
Present.
Councillor Dunsmore.
Here.
Councillor McCrae.
Here.
And I'm here too. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Okay, purpose of this meeting, a public meeting, is to present and receive public input regarding a proposed zoning bylaw amendment on subject lands known as 7146 Wellington Road 18th and 6654 8th line in the former township of West Garifraxis. The purpose of this proposed zoning bylaw amendment is to change the zoning of the subject land from A, agricultural and EP, environmental protection, to A, agricultural exception and EP, environmental protection. The effect of the amendment is to implement zoning regulations necessary to facilitate a farm dwelling surplus severance and to restrict residential uses on the retained parcel. The zoning amendment is a condition of the approval of the County of Wellington Land Division Committee application B110/20. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Center Wellington before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Township of Center Wellington to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, LPAT. If a person or public body does not make oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Center Wellington before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the LPAT unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. If you wish to be notified of the adoption of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, you must make a written request to the clerk, Township of Center Wellington, 1 McDonald Square, Elora, Ontario, N0B1S0. And I'll ask the clerk how notice was given.
Through you, Mayor Linton, notice was mailed to prescribed persons, agencies, and public bodies on April the 8th. A copy was also placed in the Wellington Advertiser on April the 8th. I can therefore confirm that the requirement for giving notice was completed on April the 8th, 2021.
Thanks, Carrie. At this point, I'll turn it over to Mariana, our senior planner, to introduce this application. Welcome, Mariana.
Thank you, Mayor Linton. Good evening, Mayor and members of Council. So the subject property is located at the northwest corner of 8th Line West and County Road 18 and is approximately 16.5 hectares or 40 acres in size. It's designated prime agricultural and core greenlands in the county official plan. The rezoning application, RZ0221, was made in order to rezone the lands from agricultural and environmental protection to add an exception to the agricultural lands. The purpose of these rezoning is to prohibit residential uses on the proposed retained farm parcel as required by provincial and county policies as a condition of a farm dwelling surplus severance, which was approved by the County of Wellington on February 11th of this year. Staff have received comments on the rezoning from the county's planning staff, stating that there are no objections to the rezoning. No additional public or agency comments have been received to date. After reviewing all of the input received on the application, staff will be bringing forward a recommendation and corresponding bylaw to a future council meeting for consideration. I know that Mr. Buisman is also in attendance to be providing further details about the application. So I will be available to answer any questions either now or after Mr. Buisman's presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Mariana. I will now turn it over to Jeff Buisman, the agent for the applicant, to make his presentation. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor Linton, and thank you, council members. Were we going to have a sketch presented on the screen or shared on the screen?
Yes, I think that will be brought up now for you.
Thank you. Perfect. I'm assuming everybody can see these two sketches. There's two of them. This is the sketch that was used for the severance application and the zone change. As explained fairly simply and straightforward, that this is a surplus farm resident severance. That's when we're severing the existing dwelling and the buildings in that area as a separate parcel. The retained farmlands will be a part of a larger farm operation, and the purpose of this zone change is to ensure that no house is constructed on the retained farm. The part with the house is in the bottom right corner where it says severed parcel, 2.8 hectares. And that's, that basically incorporates a lot of what's used as the yard today. If there's any questions, I think it's pretty straightforward, but if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thanks, Jeff. At this point, I'll ask if there's any, there's no delegations registered, so I'll ask if there's anybody present on this call that wants to speak to this application. I don't think there is. Okay. At this point, I will ask for questions of council. Council, any questions on this? Councillor Foster?
Thank you, Mayor. Question for probably Jeff or perhaps Mariana. If I want to just confirm this parcel is, did I see 16 hectares or 16 acres? And secondly, I'm wanting to understand how that fits into the operator's total farming sort of plan. It seems like a very small amount of acreage to do this. Typically, it's much larger acreages, like 100 or 98. Can I get some clarity on that, Mariana, or perhaps Jeff?
I can talk to that a bit. Mr. Horst is the farmer. He owns a property very close by. He's a Mennonite farmer, so he didn't. He said it was going to be really awkward to join this meeting tonight, so he chose not to join this meeting tonight. So he's just around the corner, and I forget the total amount of acreage that he has. I have to, if you give me a minute, I'll look up a form called the farm info sheet. I'm just looking at that. He's got another parcel that's 107 acres. And then he'll have this one with it for his combined farm operation.
And this one is, did I hear correctly, Jeff, 16 hectares or acres?
Yeah, hectares.
16 hectares.
That's what it is now. The severed, like the farm will be 13.7 hectares. That is 34 acres.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions from council on this one? Councillor McElwain?
Thank you. The owner will remain living on the severed portion there. Is that correct, Jeff? Or
no, he's bought the whole farm. He lives around the corner, and
okay.
and so he's going to sell the farmhouse. He's anxious to sell the farmhouse because he's purchased this, he's purchased this recently. He's quite anxious to get this all done so that he can sell the house. There is an intended purchaser for the house.
Okay. Are there more building? There seem to be more buildings there, but there's no additional farming hand on that particular severed property, though.
There is a larger metal clad building at the north end of the property. That building's always been there. If anything, he'll use that to store tractors or trailers or his hay.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from council? Okay, at this point, I thank everyone for attending and advise that council will be considering the bylaw at a future council meeting. Thanks, and I declare this meeting closed. Have a nice rest of the evening. See you later. Thanks, Mariana.